Hello there and welcome back to the SalonTouch video channel. This is part 2 of the Reset and Rollover Services tutorial. In part 1 we talked about reset services. Now let's talk about rollover services. So rollover services are very similar to reset services, but there's slight differences. The rollover services allows the sessions or the units to accumulate each month without losing any unused units. These unused units will then be added to the original number of units when the service is reset. So in essence, really, a rollover service is almost the same as a reset service, except it allows the units to add back to the beginning units at the beginning or at the middle of the month, whenever we set the reset date to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up a rollover service. So again, I took the liberty of starting one. I'm going to call it 10 rollover, a 10 session package. Now by default, again, just like in the reset services, is checkmark never and never. I want this service to expire, say a year from now. 2018, the 3rd. Right, so now this service will expire a year from today. I look at the second box, the resets box. Default is never. However, I want this to roll over. Oh, first of all, I want to define the day it rolls over. So I'm going to say the 15th of the month. Once I've done that, I specify that roll over the balance instead of resetting it. So I roll it over. So now the next step is to define how many of those remaining units in the month I want them roll over. For example, if I have 8 remaining units and I want all 8 of them to roll over, then I would put 0, leave it as default at 0, and all the 8 units will roll over into next month. However, in my case, let's say I want a maximum of 5 units to roll over. That means the 3 units that are left over are lost. The next step, I have to define what is the maximum accumulation of the units from all the different ongoing rollovers. If I don't put, if I leave it at 0, it means every month there's a rollover, number of rollover units, and they'll roll over into next month, and those left over roll over into next month, and on and on and on. But I want that the maximum accumulated units to be 30. No more than 30. If there's any more unused units, they will be lost. So I'm going to make it 30 and I'm going to save. So now, for all practical purposes, we have set up our rollover services. Again, make sure that the pricing here and the surcharges and all those things are done properly, just like you would do in a normal service. So like I said, to summarize, we want the service here to expire a year from now. We want it to roll over on the 15th of every month, so we put 15. Then we want only 5 units that are remaining to roll over into next month. If it's less than 5, then whatever those units are, they'll roll over. And the maximum accumulated units, we want it to be 30. Now we have created a rollover service. And if you want to check what we created, we could always look up here under reset, the details of exactly how we defined it. Let's go over this example. So let's say a client has 8 units left in the month. He hasn't used them. Then only 5 units will roll over next month, and the remaining 3 units will be lost, because we defined that the maximum number of units to be rolled over is 5, and not all the unused units. So the unused units will keep rolling every month until a maximum cap of 30 units is reached. After that, no more unused units will roll over until the existing 30 units are used. Now we have seen that creating a rollover service is pretty straightforward, just like a reset service. Before I finish this video, there are a couple of things I want to show you that may be useful to you in the future. And this is the rollover reset editor. So let me go to the report section here, to the client section, there's a couple of things I wanted to show you. One, if I press on this button here, Reset Services, this will give me a list of all the clients who have reset rollover type services. So this may be useful to you as a reporting tool. The other thing is this Run Reset Rollover Services button. If I click on that, it brings up the Reset Rollover Editor. Now there are certain things I can change. For example, here where it's not, there's no fill-in, the white color, I can pretty well change the date of the next reset or rollover date. I can do that on a client-by-client basis. I can also do look at the balance and make changes to that if I wanted to. So I think this is useful to you sometimes in the future. So this brings us to the end of part 2, where we talked about the rollover service. If you haven't looked at part 1, where we talk about reset service, I would start with that one first and then come to part 2. With those 2 videos, you'll pretty much know everything there is to know about reset and rollover services. I hope all these 2 videos were useful, and I'll speak to you soon in my next video. Bye-bye.